Hi, you guys, it's Christina. I just wanted to do a quick tutorial for a memorial flyer. The flyer can be used as the front of an obituary. It's the same concept, same principle. You can also use this for other things, but we're just going to do a basic flyer. And like I said, it can also be used for the front of the obituary. So I went ahead and created a template in Canva. So that's going to be our finished product. And then I also, on the next page, I went ahead and put all of the graphics that we'll use for the flyer on that one page. So you can either copy and paste them onto a clean page to do the tutorial, or you can just start here and move things back and forth. So first I'm going to start by using the gold, and I'm going to use that to create my background. So I'm simply just going to drag it to the corner, spread it, then I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to flip it. You can turn it, or there's a button at the top left that says flip. You can flip it that way. And I'm just going to move that to the bottom, and that's going to give us our background. Later, we'll play around with the actual background color. You can use the background color or you cannot use the background color. It just depends on what you're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and move that to the back so that I can start touching my other elements. I'm going to hit the shade button, and I like the shade button because it's actually not the shade button, the shade graphic, because it's going to give you more depth. It's not going to look like you got just a box. It's going to make it look layered and more 3D. And it's always those little details that'll help you build your flyer and make it look a little bit more professional. So I grabbed my yellow box, and I'm simply just going to play with my yellow and black boxes and stretch them across to match how I did at the template. I just recommend moving them, and then you can readjust them once you have them all the way together to see what size fits better. And sometimes you do have to go to the layers and move things back and forward to kind of play with the other elements, because if something's sitting on top of an element, you're not going to be able to grab it if it's not space for it. So I went ahead and stretched my black box, and now I'm going to use my fade right underneath my black box to kind of, like I said, it's going to give it a 3D effect so that the black box doesn't look like just a black box. It's going to kind of look like it's sitting above the yellow block box. And I'm going to add it to the top and the bottom so that it gives it more of a 3D look. And then, like I said, you're going to play around with it just to kind of see what looks best for you. And you can do this tutorial more than once. You can use these elements in different ways. So now I'm going to move the name, and I'm going to resize it and play with the size. And then the burst, I just like to add the burst because sometimes it just makes it look a little bit more fancier. And now I'm going to simply just move the picture and make it larger. That is it. You can always click on the names too and change the names and play around with that as well. But I just want to show you the basics of how to do your layout and to add key elements. So I'm going to stretch this picture, and I like that I use this picture because it is blurry, because in real life you're not going to get perfect pictures for these obituaries. A lot of times you're going to have to play around with pictures and remove backgrounds. A lot of the pictures are not going to look like the AI generated pictures that you're using for your templates or for, your mock-ups. So now I'm really just moving the letters around to kind of see how the size plays with it, or if I want to overlap something. And I think I like doing that because it lets you be more creative. So you can move the spaces to suit how what looks good to you. So the flour, I'm simply just going to spread it, and I'm going to lay it to the side. And as you notice, I am moving it back and forth through the layers just to kind of see what looks better. And like I said, you'll do that just to kind of get a feel like, maybe this looks better, maybe that looks better. So always play around with it. And so depending on the look you want to go for, you might overlap it a little bit, or you might not. But in general, I like to overlap little pieces just because it just makes it look better. It makes it look less flat. When I You did notice that I moved over the background You see I'm moving it back and forth. That's simply so that I can click on the the back layers. So you can either move stuff around, it's whatever is quicker, and it really depends on what I'm using because I literally use my phone, my tablet, and my computer. Each one has a benefit. So you have to play around and see which one works best for you. So I used the exact same flower. All I did was duplicate it and I just moved it to the corner. You can move it in different places, move it to the front or to the back. Just play around with it because in real life, when you're creating these things, that's literally how you're going to get it done. You will literally just keep going back and forth, moving elements back and forth until they look good. Like when you first do it, sometimes you have to walk away, come back to it, and retry it. So another tip is the effects on your text. So this effect is the shadow, and you can change the background color. You can change how big the shadow is. You can change how opaque it is. And little things like that will make it look better than just if you just had the regular flat text. And I also recommend when you're doing obituaries, try to use maybe 2 to 3 texts. Use those throughout the whole obituary. Do not use 10, 15 texts, different, not texts, I'm sorry, fonts throughout because it doesn't look cohesive and you want this stuff to look cohesive. So I always choose, I would say three is a good number, 3 different fonts, and use those 3 different fonts throughout the whole obituary. That way everything looks cohesive. And like I said, now the point that I'm working with now, I'm literally just going through with different layers, trying different things, moving the size and resizing it. You see now I'm changing the background color. And you clearly, there's literally a button on the left hand side that says background. You will click that and then you'll play around with the colors as you see me doing. Like, am I going to go lighter? Do I want to go darker? And that is pretty much your process. You want to play around with things and see how things look. Move things forward, move things backwards. That is how you're going to get your overall picture. Making some things more opaque and translucent than, everything just bold. Like her background picture. I did take down and made it more translucent. And you'll see me also doing that with the, I guess, the sequin look in the background. And be careful of making pictures too translucent because if you do have a pattern background, it'll show through too much on the picture and it'll take away from the picture. And as you see, little things. I'm adding a sparkle right here. I'm going to move the spark to the back just to give it a little extra layer. And you notice I put a shadow on her picture. So you see the shadow, then you see the spark, and it's just little details like that that gives you the extra benefits to make it look more rich and more professional. So I always say you can redo this multiple times. I would even start from scratch, use the same techniques and create your own because that's how you're going to figure out your creative process. Because as you see, even though I have the basics, I still go back and forth working with the thickness, working with the size of things. And that's literally what you want to do. You want to just keep playing around with it until it looks good to you. Everybody is different. That's how come we can have so many of us doing it because everybody will have their own style. And even though it's the exact same elements, when you do it, it might look a little bit different. That doesn't mean that it's bad, but you have the basics to start and you can create something for yourself using just these simple techniques. So another thing that I do like to do that a lot of people like is the doves. So you see I went over to my elements. All you simply do, type in dove. You click your dove. You're going to resize it, rotate it. And a lot of times when you do your doves, making them different sizes and adding a little shadow, which would be under edit image, adding those little shadows and making them different sizes, I think it works very well because it gives that this is an obituary and not a birthday party flyer. Just little things like that that you'll notice will help build your flyer. You don't want to put 1,000 elements on your flyer, so you always want to edit yourself. But just little things like that and adding your shadows will always help to make your flyer look more 3D. It will give it a more professional look, a more crisp look, a more clean look. And a lot of you people say, oh, they're very vibrant. That's up to you. Choose vibrant colors. Choose things that stand out, and that'll give that glow effect. And that's going to be the easiest way to do it. But overall, like I said, all of these simple elements that we've just did, you can use these elements to create a flyer. You have all the tools, and I know you can do it.